Okay, so today we are looking at this week's Ready Reading assignment. Thank you, people who showed up for class. And if you didn't and you're watching this video, I'm going to go through a few things about this week's assignment. First of all, just a reminder, please go into my class and go to classwork to do the activity. Don't do it from the list, and make sure you've done your attendance for the day. Um, the other thing is that your iReady, please don't click turn in unless you've actually done 45 minutes. I will be calling home for people that are abusing the clicking to say they have something done. That's pretty crazy. And you can see that Ready Reading is going to be the thing that's probably going to take you the most time this week. This week, I just wanted to show you that there is a PowerPoint talking about the pronoun case and perspective. Now, this obviously wasn't made by somebody from America because you can see that they're going to talk about perspective and case, which isn't usually how we talk about it in the United States. But it still is a good example and what I like about the PowerPoints is that you can scroll through them at your leisure. Like you can actually even print them out. They're you don't have to worry about it going so fast like the videos do. Okay, so this week we're talking about the fact that there are different kinds of pronouns. Obviously, the definition is they take the place of nouns, but the subjects and objects, right, are two ways that you can talk about how the pronouns are used. So, nouns that take verbs are subjects. What do you mean take? Like they pick them up and carry them away? That's a weird way of saying it. Okay. In other words, nouns that are doing the action is how I usually say it. Okay. In other words, if you have the cat ate the fish, right? So the cat, is obviously doing the eating. It is the subject. So if you wanted to say he for the cat, right? He ate the fish. The subject pronouns are going to come before the verbs, basically, unless it's a question. But in general, they come before the verbs and they're doing the action. And then there's the nouns that do not take verbs that are objects. Well, that's a weird way of saying it. What they're basically saying is the pronouns that came after the verb, right, um, will be the objects. They are receiving action, okay, instead of doing the action. That's how I usually say it. Here's your example. Captain Jones waved around his saber and threatened the landlubbers, the landlubbers, right? The people that are not sailors, right? So one of the important things about looking at subjects and objects and being able to find them is that you need to look at the verb, right? So what did he do? Well, Captain Jones obviously waved his saber, right? And and he threatened. He did two different things, okay? And then the landlubbers, right? He threatened them. They are receiving the action, okay? So you can see that Captain Jones is the subject. He's doing all the action. The landlubbers are receiving the action. So when you are starting to put pronouns in, you just have to remember that some are subject pronouns and some are object. So some pronouns change form based on whether they're subjects or objects. It says, I taught myself to skateboard because nobody else would teach me. Okay, so you'll notice that you're using I. This is a subject pronoun here. And myself is when you're talking about myself. That's a reflexive. We'll talk about that more next week. And me, right? Teach me. Here's your verb. No one else would teach who or what? Me. So notice how it's not nobody else would teach I. It's nobody else would teach me. And just like you wouldn't say me taught myself, all right? I mean, that's the wrong case, right? And it sounds wrong to our ears as native speakers. Um, and you sound like Tarzan basically. You don't sound educated when you say me goes to the store. It's not, no, that's not the right case. So a lot of these you can hear whether they're right or wrong, right? And once again, it says, don't you want to sound more intelligent? Yes. All right, so here are the subject pronouns I, we, you, he, she, they, them, and it. Now, them is not a subject pronoun. I don't know why they're putting that there. That's basically wrong. That's an object pronoun, but it is correct. Now, it is interesting because it kind of works as a subject or an object, and so does you. Okay. And so when we arrived in the new country, we were bearing gifts for the natives. Here's your object ones: me, us, you, it, him, her, and them. And you'll notice that you and it, they are both subjects and objects. They are in both lists. All right. And that's partly because of the fact that it's sort of a when you're saying you do something or you go, like you're sort of talking about somebody else. And so once again, they tend to be either subject or object. And it says the natives were delighted to meet us. So here's your subject, right? And we're delighted is the verb, and to meet us. It's not to meet we, right? It's to meet us. So we'll talk more about reflexive pronouns next week, but you can kind of read through those. And just remember choosing the right pronouns. If you've got two people like Jed and I went to the swimming hole, you have to remember it's not Jed and me. Even though it kind of seems like it might sound, or might even say that, and we're talking, you're going to have to use the subject pronoun because it comes before the verb. All right. On the other hand, it says the teacher gave me and Karen a hall pass. So you kind of have to look at me by itself and Karen. What sounds right? It wasn't the teacher gave I and Karen. No, you can't give I. You can give me, right? So you have to use the objective case. This is a lot of terminology, so that's why I have a couple of different ways for you to practice on this. And you can see, oops, I'm going to close this for a minute because I don't want to type on that one. So when you're looking at this week's work, you'll see that the grammar practice is here. And I actually gave you some information on slide 2. And you can see I actually made a nice little chart of subjective and objective. The other thing they're going to talk about is perspective. And this is going to become important as we talk about, as you're reading a story, is it in first person, second person, or third person? So they're kind of teaching two things at once here. So just so you know, the first person is the subjective. The first person subjective is I and we. All right. And so we've seen this, a first person story. I did this, or we went somewhere. So the objective case of that is me and us. And then second person is the you, right? You go to the store, you see this, you do this. All right. That's second person point of view or perspective. And the subjective and the objective are the same. You doesn't have an objective case. Okay, and third person is the he, she, they. Him, her, it, them is the objective. So you can see that, and this is pretty much something that we would figure out ourselves, but this is all on the slide so you can take a look. All right, some examples. And also talking about, first, second, third point of view. And up here in the, at the top of the thing right here, sorry, it is really not liking me today. If you click on this, you can pull it down again. I've been trying to get it down. There's actually another video right here that you can watch. This YouTube video, also really helpful to understand what we're talking about with pronoun and perspective. So this is the review, something you would have maybe to use on your test, for example. And then here is your activity for this week. So they want you to circle whether the molded pronoun is objective or subjective case, and whether it's first, second, or third person. And you can just flip back to this to see the chart if you need to, back and forth, just like this. So it says, I went to the mall, and you're going to be circling with scribble, and you're just going to say, oh, I is subjective. How do I know that? Well, let's see. It said it in the chart. I is subjective. If you can't figure it out just by doing it. And then is that a first person, second person, or third person? And we can see that according to our chart, that first person, right, perspective is I, right? So it's first person. So you would circle using your little scribble thing, and you circle first person. Okay, so there's two answers for each one. And notice how this one on number 2 has a compound subject. He and she bought groceries. I'll make this a little bit bigger, maybe. He and she bought groceries to eat for dinner. Okay, so this is both your subject. It's he and she, and if you look on your chart, he and she is subjective, right? Third person. Okay, so you can use the chart. Just circle the ones that are, correct on your screen, and that's pretty easy. Any questions so far? Okay, sorry guys, I know I'm talking a lot today. Let me jump down. I'm going to take the last part of our little time together here today. Uh-oh, this is not good. Okay, well, the second part of the assignment, let me just jump in here for a minute. So the second part of the assignment is to do this reading. And these are readings where you're supposed to be learning new new words, and you can see that they've got these little things here that you can click and pull because it says to underline the words in the diagram with technical, figurative, or connotative meanings. Technical meanings, the definitions are right here, right? So technical meaning has to do with like a science, math, or engineering expression, right? They'll use these technical words. A connotative meaning is a word chosen for its connotation expresses not just an idea, but a feeling, especially like good or bad, right or wrong. That's connotative. Okay. And then the authors use and combine words to produce figurative meanings. And we're going to be talking more about figurative language next week. We're going to start looking at some poetry and some more figurative language things next week. Okay. So you're supposed to move these to the places that that show that. Okay. And so it's a little tricky to me, I think. And then there's a chart, and you have to decide ovipositor or egg laying organ is found in the abdomen. Okay. And why the author used it to communicate precisely which part of the wasp is being described. So this is pretty obviously one of the technical meanings, right? It's describing, you would just write it technical, right? And the eyes seem borrowed from that of a space alien. Oh, wait a minute. They're comparing the eyes to a space. That's figurative language right there, right? It literally is not a an alien. It just looks like that. So read carefully through and participate in these parts right here. On Thursday, I'll do more looking at this. If you can have a good start on it, or if you want to come and work with me individually, I can go through this part with you more. And you'll see there's two, there's a reading and then with a short explanation. There's two readings this time, and they're about different. This is the Goliath beetle, and I hope you like bugs because that's what we're reading about this week. Don't forget our last part right here. Describe the tone of the article. And tone is this article being very serious? Is it being lighthearted? Whatever it is. So we'll do more talking about this one, number 11, on Thursday. So come on over or watch the video on that day. And thanks, guys, for watching. I know it's a lot of me talking today. If you want to hang out and stay on to work on iReady for a little bit, or if you want to start working on my assignment, I'm here. I do have another class at 9, but I will be available if you need me anytime after 11 today. Or if you look in the stream, I have time tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday to help out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my recording for a minute.